What's it called when you're not really fashionably late to the party, but more you're so full of anxiety and self-loathing that you avoid eye contact with your partner and procrastinate until you completely miss the party? What's that called?
We call it joeying.
Joeying. Fashionably ADHD. Fashionably, this is why you'll never amount to anything. Fashionably Joa.
Are you opening up with the disclaimer? Right, yes! I thought maybe we bury it later in the episode.
Okay, so you can move it around. You can do magics. Yeah.
I'll copy and paste it at random points in the episode, and that's way too much work. Okay. So the elephant in the room is that all the other crew gunks for the characters this season were recorded before we started doing episodes. So they're all like character, brainstorming and refining and so forth. But you're the only one who has played your character prior to the crew gunk because of who you are and how you conduct yourself in the world.
This is because of my wifely powers. Oh my God, we were married when we started this, so now it's different. Yeah, I almost proposed to you on this episode, which is one of the reasons I avoided it. Does that help? Does everyone feel bad now?
No, that's very romantic. Is that you procrastinated so long because it was going to be a very high stakes episode.
It was so high stakes. But yes, I will try not to be influenced by anything that has already happened. But I make no promise because you're not my real dad. So yeah, let's talk about Schroeder.
Well, if your dad listens to this, that's going to be strange for him because
he's been threatening, or like he really wants to listen, but he can't.
Everyone always says that to me. Interesting.
But I can't. That's so sad. You need to cut that out. That's depressing.
No, but so your character, you have a little bit more in mind, but I think it's actually interesting. I'm taking it as an opportunity instead of lamenting that we didn't get more, time to think about your character. Now we get to answer questions that have come up during recordings, like retroactively, and set more groundwork. So Thank you for that.
Well,
actually,
yes. Wow, he's really getting it. When I was thinking about what to talk about in this episode, I was specifically only thinking about what is the Schroeder that we know and love when we started. So, the TLDR is that they're like, if ADHD was a deer. I can go through my character sheet. Is that what we're doing?
We're doing whatever you want. That seemed to you started like 3 different sentences there. None of them really went, I think, where they were meant to go. Do you want to try that again?
Okay. Through the power of faith and valor, I will start this intro for Schroeder. Jack Schroeder, or Jack Schroeder is his full name, but he goes by Schroeder. Call him Schroeder. He, they pronouns. I am a sexy anthro stag lad. I'm a knight, a helio knight on the courage side, so a new Leon. The thing I have said is the TLDR on Schroeder is that they're like if ADHD was a deer. I'm a level 7 bard. And yeah, my spellcasting focus and my blessing from the sun are my fingerless gloves from the motherfucking sun. And I play a little banjo. I literally have a tiny banjo. You will hear me strumming it poorly and enjoy my glow up as I get better at the tiny banjo, hopefully, throughout the season.
What came first, the character or the real banjo?
The real banjo, yeah.
Okay, so you got that and you held it in your hand and you said, here is a character to delight the masses.
Yes, I am a bard. So, did I say that? I'm a bard.
You said a lot of stuff. There's a lot to unpack there. There was like 20, it's normally 20 minutes of content for a crew gunk. You kind of did in one sentence, which I appreciate. You have a lot of stuff to do. You're a busy lady. But we do have to ask you the opening question. Is Jack Schroeder a fan of women's rights or women's wrongs?
All right. Now, first, let's back up. You got to call me Schroeder. The name Schroeder.
I'm sorry. This is actually official government paperwork, so I am going to have to use his legal name.
So the interesting thing about Schroeder is that even though he has been raised under the sun and he has been blessed by a sun gift and is now a Helio Knight, though no one in his family was a Helio Knight, unlike, in contrast to Apollo or the kind of zealot of Lady Lynn, who both of them, there's like a respect and a fear there, respectively. But Schroeder is what we would call moon curious. So that was really my entire idea behind Schroeder, is that, he's a little interested. He's kind of a silly guy, and he is very bisexual. So moon curious, in parentheses, bisexual. And so I think where Schroeder is like the non-answer of halfway between women's rights and women's wrongs. And ideally for me, Joa, inching ever so slowly to women's wrongs more and more until he is completely women's wrongs by the end of the season.
Wow, a women's centrist. In these times, that's bold, Schroeder. That you won't take a stand for women either way.
Well, I think that's what I was having a conversation with a friend like this. Like, that is probably the most misogynist stance, is to be in the middle and to be at this war with yourself and deny yourself. So maybe when I say in the middle, I mean both. Like, Schroeder is a maximalist. So we're talking about, believing in community, believing in being a weird little worm, very accepting of other people, very curious about the moon in such a way that it's like, are they not both gods? Are we not both, maybe not two sides of the same coin, but should we be at war? Should we be looking at other people as less than? But yeah, definitely hiding this entire side of himself from his family and friends, which I think wears away at you. So there's, definitely nothing to do with the fact that I'm from the Deep South and was raised Baptist and have all of that religious trauma. Definitely nothing to do with that.
So the Beltoris episode was released first, but I think we had the Schroeder character in mind long before that. And so you were like the first character who was like kind of explicitly not sun-pilled. We have Lady Lynn, obviously, is just fully on board. Runt has a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So instead of being like the best of both worlds, I'm actually the worst of both worlds, because to be half of something is like, well, everybody fucking hates you because you're not enough of anything. But yeah, I think that's the struggle to be
so far, like, Apollo is basically on, the side of the sun, has dedicated his life to the sun. You were the first person who made a character who was like, I'm not sure that this is all great. And on top of that, you are a new Helionite. So like Apollo comes from this long family. Runt was raised by a Helionite. Apollo, it's all pretty entrenched there. You just became a Helionite somewhat recently, along with Baltoris. But while Baltoris immediately jumped into embracing the role and is getting all the perks and stuff, you are probably the most marginal figure, it seems like, at this point. So we have a bunch of different angles to talk about that from, but that is kind of you are the least Helionite.
Oh my god. Way to make me feel less than, as if I don't already. Schroeder makes up for a lot of it with his antics. But yeah, I specifically, what you're saying about Apollo, I specifically have in my sheet big normal family. I also have open-minded. I think, questioning our society is one of the most courageous acts that we can do. That the sun and moon are meant to exist in harmony. Drugs aren't really that bad. That just kind of came out of nowhere, and now it's very important. But yeah, just an open-minded person. I put groovy. He's definitely got a chill 70s vibe. So something that I have thought to do and often forgotten is to sprinkle little 70s songs throughout my dialogue. So if you hear them, I'm looking straight at you.
I did hear you drop a name in there. I should say this is the first Crew Gunk we're doing, like coterminous with the release of the episode, so I can do an updated Patreon backer thanks. Which in some episodes, someone mentions like we could memorialize the supporters of the show as like fallen Helionites since they die so often. So it's like a R.I.P. to Faith and Valor and a burnt grill plate from a Korean BBQ. Eardrum is best.
We got Korean barbecue right after we got married.
We sure did.
Yeah, we did.
Elfrona, aka Jonas, aka the Thieving Squirrel, aka SJ, and more. We're gonna try to put some of these in the episode because the other ones we've released haven't had them because of how chronological time works. It's very important that people support the show so it continues to exist. But the question here is, you said that Schroeder is an ardling. which is the word for like animal people. This is something that was going to be introduced in the 2024 Player's Handbook update that they took out at the last second. We talked about this a lot in season 10 because Skitch played an ardling. But long story short, when I told you the player characters were based on heraldry iconography, you looked at some and you were like, I want to be a deer guy. Do you want to talk about that process, how you got there, how we ended up using elf stats, any of that stuff?
Yeah. Oh, well, first of all, I kept correcting you. I said stag. Stag. It's a different vibe. But yes, I did choose the wood elf lineage. So I get some druidic stuff. I get dark vision. I get some languages. And yeah, I can talk a little bit more of that as I go through my abilities. As a bard, I had to choose a college, so it seemed obvious to me to select the College of the Moon and then kind of re-flavor all of it to be College of the Sun. So I've got some spells there, like instead of Moonbeam, I'm calling it Sunbeam, depending on the company. Again, what a shitty thing to do, to just hide yourself. But, that's part of discovery. Instead of lunar vitality, it's solar vitality. Instead of blessing of moonlight, it's blessing of sunlight, stuff like that. So that'll be sprinkled throughout just for flavor. And yeah, another thing about Schroeder is that they love Simon Lee, Conduit of Chungus, Bearer of Dinkus, and Minion of John Con. Also,
wow, that was flawless.
Marcus Slovin and Juman Jack. I've missed these names so much. Sir Alistair Octopus, shout out. Spaghetti-O moment. We need to start saying that instead of ready for spaghetti. We need to start saying, are you ready for Spaghetti-O moment?
It's only for us.
Yeah. Also, Shredder's not a robot. Beep, boop, beep. I'm not a robot. Beep, boop, beep. And the name Schroeder, there's a few things that I don't know that I had in mind at the same time. I think there was some lineage about like being a tailor. Also Schroeder's like the toy piano prodigy guy from Peanuts, Charlie Brown. I feel like that would make Apollo the Charlie Brown. And then Lady Lynn would be, who's this sassy dark-haired mean girl?
Yeah, one who takes the football, Lucy.
That would be. Yeah, and you're Austin is all of the adults going wow, 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 wow,
wow. I guess that makes Runt Snoopy because he's cool.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, Schroeder definitely has a soft spot in his heart for Runt.
Yeah, so you said that you're basically a lunar bard, which is a thing that was added in a recent supplement. So it's an existing thing. You just reflavored it as sun. It was almost like too perfect because I think naturally in the sun-moon dichotomy, you're much more lunar in general as a person. I think if, the scheduling had been different.
Joa?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Interesting, because personally, I'm a sun sign bitch. I'm a Leo. My sun sign is the sun sign, but my moon is a Pisces, so I'm also very wet. I'm very emotional.
You can't. Come on.
I'm physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I am a mess. It's literally written in the stars. So, like I told my therapist that I was a sun sign and a moon, and my moon sign was Pisces, and she was like, "Oh my god." That explains everything. You're a fucking mess. She's the same way.
Is this also the therapist I'm trying to buy drugs from?
Oh my god, you can't say that. Cut that out. Jesus. Isn't that just that
they'll
she's
never
cool?
Figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think we should just really be listening to, instead of you and me, we should be listening to Copperheed, professional GM on startplaying.games. Ooh, we should go to that right now. I bet he's super fun to play with. I bet. I'm going to click it. And also Mr. Pear. Oh, I wonder if Mr. Pear and Mr. Egg know each other. That'd be interesting.
Oh, I was going to say that because you are more naturally, I think, interested in moon stuff, it makes sense that your character would also follow that, trajectory. But it's not like you hate the sun or anything, which is where I was going with that before you came in with the all the astrology stuff that basically already said what I was going to say.
How wet I am. Yeah. A couple other things. So I said I have my tiny banjo. It's actually I guess technically a banjo ukulele. So I've got 4 strings. I also have a ukulele and a banjo. So those are my 3 instruments that I chose as a part. And I've got a couple of daggers, which are really just for fashion. They are fashioned from my old antlers since deer shed their antlers every year. Let's see. And a big part about Schroeder is running a little metaphysical shop. So in being kind of a moon personality person IRL, that definitely bleeds through. It's like the place you go to buy incense and crystals and tapestries and witchy stuff. So, but also I think in this environment, like in New Leon, it's more like these are spiritual items, these are healing items. It's not like it's not like how those shops are seen IRL here when they're like, oh, these are all a bunch of fucking moon people coming here. It's not like that. But I host a little support group, and yeah, the kind of underground side of this is I also have a group of people who are also moon curious. So Schroeder's been kind of building a community or connecting with other people who share some of this, and it's very blasphemous. I took what is it? One of my spells that I don't really actually use. It's more part of my personality.
See, this is one of those things where I'm poisoned by knowledge of the future, because we did a whole brainstorming session in a episode about what your shop is called, and I do think that turned out really great. Like, that was so fun to record. In the alternate universe where we recorded the crew gunk first, here is the part where you and I would come up with the name for Schroeder's Crystal Shop.
It wouldn't have been as good. We had other people. Oh, important. Yes. So I have a scribe background. So that is part of the background of the fact that I publish an underground zine for other moon curious people. But it's also kind of a tabloid. It's like werewolves in my backyard. Can you believe what they're eating over there? Shit like that. I kept talking about it as if the imagery from Dan to Dan, where he's reading all of his little UFO magazines. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, so the concept of the season, the premise is that the player characters are Helionites, which are nobility. And I don't remember the exact order of operations where it was like, okay, so we're all going to be all playing and interacting with a lot of like important high level people, which means it could be very easy to lose sight of like the peasants and the common folk and so forth. That's why one of the earliest episodes was about like the Cooper family, who are, the equivalent of like working class. They wouldn't have conceived of themselves in that term, but you know what I'm saying. And I think, at some point you were like, oh, there probably are support groups for people who haven't been chosen by the sun, because if your whole culture revolves around the sun and the Helionites, and you, even if you're very brave and you try your best, you could not be picked, and it could hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
And so that's where your character was like, oh, I was part of a group, or I ran a group, and then I got chosen by the sun, and that was very awkward.
Yeah. But I think it also inspires some hope, maybe, that, hey, real live normal person can be chosen by the sun, and they're still regular people like you and me, kind of deal. So yeah, that's the public facing support group, is for folks not chosen by the sun.
Yeah, and so you and Baltorres coming in now are like the more normie people. Like, Baltorres is the criminal, and you were like the, you ran a shop or whatever, being elevated.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, you two have an affinity immediately.
But members of my support group, Zagul has forgotten, Bad News Panda, writing for Mazine, Martin Porthouse, hey, Toshida Kuro celebrated their April Fool's twins' first birthday recently. Happy birthday. Wait. Yeah, happy birthday. Midlife stasis targeted by the cat distribution system. I really wanted to say that one, so now I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. No, that's another great way to frame the backer names. It's like, these are all people in your support group because they haven't been chosen by the sun yet. You can get chosen by the sun and have your character on the show at the $50 level. We've had that a couple of times, including in the upcoming episode where you and Brennan debut, which...
Oh, we can't tell them what happens.
I'm not going to.
Yeah,
but,
okay. Okay, I really want to. You have to.
It's very
me,
exciting.
please.
No, but part of the reason we had to release these kind of in a specific way is because the way that episode opens, Dan is DMing it, and he doesn't really give Schroeder and Baltoris full introductions. So it's like
we're just like, what's up? Let's roll shit now.
Yeah. So if you didn't know that Schroeder was a deer man bard, like that was fooling around with moon stuff, it might not
wearing leather, always taking his shirt off.
Oh my gosh, it might not make a ton of sense. But yeah, you're publishing zines. When we started this season, zines were not, I think, a hot button political issue. Somewhat recently, though, someone did get, I think, a 30-year prison sentence for transporting zines. So it's more of a live thing these days. It's something I think will probably come up more.
It's always been an underground thing, though, for organizing. I mean, I'm working with a lot of people through what I do for a living, funding for social change to... a lot of that work is literally funding underground zines. Harm reduction was called out with an executive order. So for people who use drugs, making sure that they have care and that, you respect their choices and you support them to be well, regardless of, what they're doing instead of... Anyway, people know what harm reduction is. So yeah, making sure there's harm reduction zines out there, making sure there's gender affirming care resources, and it's, you've got to find ways to get that information out to people, especially when like everything in my Google Drive is Google can just fucking read it now. So, I mean, they always could. So the things that you thought to be true are very overt now with how surveilled we are and what information we're supposed to be allowed to have, what resources we have access to. And zines have always been a huge part of that. And I've just always been, I fucking love zines. I love to collect them. I have some organizer, first aid and shit like that. And there's a anarchist zine library here in Gainesville that's really cool. And zines are making a huge comeback. So everyone who's into zines, shout out to you. Send me your ideas for what Schroeder should have in his zine. Miles and Danny love Dice Funk Forever. Would love to hear from you. Also, Lime! Exclamation point.
So you're holding a ukulele in one hand, you have a zine in the other, and you're like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this character. So they could put that in the movie adaptation of your life. It would be pretty accurate at how that all came together.
Yeah.
As the season starts, like you're putting out these zines that are relatively harmless. It's like, boned by a skeleton and expose inside. It's like you said, a kind of national inquiry sort of thing. But as you become a Helionite and get access to more important, perhaps damaging information that you can disseminate it, I think it's going to become a bigger issue as it goes on. Yeah. So I wanted to be I think I clarified this in a later episode, but like you're distributing some zines under your name in public, like that's not a secret, but then there's more salacious illicit zines that are anonymous. Is that the kind of thing that's going on?
I don't know how popular the zine culture is in New Leon, but definitely no one knows that these zines are coming from me, because that would be a big problem. And so the thing that we are all headed towards, and I will not be able to avoid, even though I would like to, because I don't want to lose my friends, is that if Lady Lynn finds out... Okay, so first of all, Apollo, I think, would just be really disappointed, which would be really sad. Because I think there's a lot of maybe Apollo is everything that he thinks people want him to be, like that Schroeder thinks people want him to be, like his family needs him to be, or the world needs him to be. Like, that's Apollo. He represents prestige and class and just being having good morality, which means being very sun focused and just how can you be so sure of your faith, and so really having a lot of shame about being not who your family wants you to be, for that just resonates a lot with me. Lady Lynn, however, fucking terrifying. So if she finds out, I don't all fucking hell is gonna break loose.
Yeah, there's a goose-shaped time bomb in the podcast now.
Yeah, she's gonna get her neck will be so long.
Yeah, her bullying of Runt is, intense, but it's not really like existential. Like Runt isn't threatening the very structures of your society in the way that you could potentially. And we'll see how much criminality Baltoris, falls back into. Recidivism is an entire conversation we can have at some point, but I think you're probably the most destabilizing element if your activities are uncovered. So, like, that's a juicy drama baked right in. Is that you kind of speak to a subaltern in the culture and you have suddenly been elevated into a position of power. This is the kind of thing that is like, half of all society is bent towards stopping, right? Like all of our kind of levers of power are all about keeping some kind of random hippie from suddenly touching all the money and getting in there and running around naked.
Yeah, like you have to bring the hammer down on anyone who's actually not just causing a little disruption, but is rocking the very foundation and the trust that people have, and making people question and making them think it's okay to question. It's pretty cool.
But on the day-to-day, you are still doing the Helionite thing. You're defeating Colossi. You're feeding the people, keeping them safe.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Schroeder is really genuine and authentic and like wants, is like very much passionate and committed to what he's doing. And that's what's so frustrating is like, can't you be passionate and committed to this and also like want to and also be open-minded? Like, can it be all love, baby?
Which I believe you and Dan name your zine in that first episode there. I have nothing to do with the episode that's about to come out and the crimes that may or not be committed there. I do have to ask though, because as a bard, you go into combat with your your little banjo and you start healing and supporting and so forth. Why is your sun gift your, as the sheet says, fingerless gloves from the motherfucking sun instead of the musical instrument, which I think is the fool's obvious choice, the low-hanging fruit that a gormless moron like me would have chosen for my sun bard?
Yeah, I think the gloves are just they're part of Schroeder now. It's not just, I mean, obviously I'm using my hands to strum the banjo, so that power is there. What is it? What do they say? In He-Man, you have the power. The power is within you.
I have the power, I believe, is the catchphrase.
Yeah, I have the power. So yeah, I think that's just fingerless gloves are fucking cool, Austin. Get off my dick. That's why.
I'm not against fingerless gloves. I'm just curious why that was your choice, what it represents. But I think even if it's maybe subconscious or you're not even ready to fully embrace the truth of the fingerless gloves, it's about the fact that it's actually Schroeder. Like the fingerlessness represents that the sun isn't doing all the work. It's just you're the actual, it's flowing into you, and it's not about the instrument even, but
it's also not like full gloves. Like I want to have full contact.
You're a very full contact character. That's not going to become clear until a couple of episodes in. I think around episode 7, it will become quite clear how full contact your character is. It gets away from us a little bit.
Just make sure you're sitting down. Yeah.
Don't listen to episode 7 with anyone else in the room.
What a great warning. I should talk about some spells. But first, thank you to Brent. Still every episode of Dice Funk Goatly. Also Bleaker in Squishy Fishy. Christman, plain and simple. I feel like you're a sun guy. In C.A. Little. Thank you. So some spells that I have Psychic Lance. Rowlithim's Psychic Lance. That is the most powerful thing I can do. Once I do that, I am not very useful. I did change some things with my spells after.
You're entitled to change your spells basically between every episode. I don't remember exactly how it is, but that's you have changed your spells a couple of times, but because you're not leveling up, we're more lenient about that stuff. But yeah, the psychic lance meta is real. I think it's something, 10 episodes from now, one of us says something like, "Why isn't everybody just using psychic lance all the time? It's so good." Because
well, no, you've kind of corrected for that, but yeah, it is quite good. Yeah, if you're not using psychic lance,
I started giving more colossi resistance to psychic damage, I think is what ends up happening. Because at a certain point, everyone starts taking the piss.
Yeah, and incapacitation. Yeah. Some things that have kept the same. I've dispelled magic, which I don't think I've really used. Just everything's magic, but also it's not necessarily has a spell as part of it or anything. Clairvoyance is a big part that comes up. I have magic mouth, mostly because it sounds great, but
it's fun to say.
So
yeah.
fun to
what
say.
you say about clairvoyance is that's going to become important, and you and I kind of improv this thing where I say, has Schroeder ever...
You can't tell people.
No, listen to this. Listen to the thing I'm about to say. It's fine. I say, has Schroeder ever killed a Colossus before, like in your backstory? Because we're not starting with the first day on the job, and that leads into clairvoyance being more powerful. See, that wasn't a spoiler. It's fine.
Okay. So I also have some cantrips. Should I talk about my cantrips?
It's up to you.
Important thing I do as a bard, I can inspire my people. I also have healing word, which is a pretty low level spell, but I can go big sometimes, which is helpful. And disguise self. So that's fun. That's going to come into play soon. I feel like that's important to get my information. That's going to be a big part of Schroeder is, obviously getting information, both like to, yearn for knowledge, like crave to know more, and just like hopefully curiosity doesn't kill the stag. But also for my zing, I just need, I want to get more and more information. I want to get the juice. I gotta get the juice.
Yeah, so the structure of this campaign, as is becoming clear, I think, at this point, is that there's going to be a rotating cast where I'm trying to get everybody to play with everybody else, so we get all the different possible combinations and dynamics. But that means that there isn't one ongoing story from episode to episode. It's more episodic. That was a lot of the word episode, huh? And that means that, people are dropping in and out of each other's stories. And there are, you'll be there sometimes when, say, like Apollo is struggling with feeling like he lives up to his mother's legacy. And then sometimes you won't be there. You'll miss, part of that or whatever. And that's a thing where we have like the characters will catch up with each other as a way of doing like the last time on Dice Funk to be like, oh, hey, Apollo, how you been?
It's also that's more aligned with real life, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like that's just how things happen. And so I think it's really interesting this season that on this side, we get to move in and out and have different party makeups, and it just makes everything, because every combination of people is such a different vibe. Like we're all different vibes, and then together we're a different vibe, and then there's all the juicy bits, and it's like, ooh, when the tension of like when are they gonna see each other next, or like wait till fucking Lady Lynn finds out about this. That I feel like that comes up every time. It's like just thinking about that, but
that is the long necked shadow that hangs over everything. But no, there's nothing wrong with genre convention, right? Like we talk about how in Doctor Who, aliens seem to always land in England for it just makes it easier to film the show or whatever. It's fine. I'm not like mad at it, but it does kind of stretch credulity when every fantasy story you have a small party of characters who are involved in every major event that shapes world history. Everything leading into every cataclysmic confrontation is like the same group of yahoos, and we've done 12 seasons of that. It's fine. I'm not critiquing it, but I think it is a fun change of pace for it to be like, here's a snapshot of these people's lives. Some people are there, some people are not, and as the season goes on, we're cycling more and more people in and out. I think I said on the Baltaurus episode, like, oh, I hope we get a couple more people. And it's been a lot. There's so many people now. There's going to be all these wacky combinations that are very fun. And I've kind of been surprised to see how Schroeder's relationship evolves with some of them, because some of them have changed a bunch.
I'm also surprised. But yeah, something that has come up you talked about people can have their characters in the show now, which I think is really fun because the Dice Funk fan base is just like, y'all are super fucking cool. So if we could just get everyone to do this with their pets, we would have a really cool season. I would like everyone's pet to be in the in the season. There was someone who's had their pet or like inspired by their pet, which is really cool. I should talk more about Schroeder. So I rolled to get all of my skills. That's just how I like to do it, and because then I'm not having to choose. I'm just like, well, this is what the dice say. So what that ended up being is my strength is +0. I have no modifier for that. I'm a weak little baby. Please protect me. I obviously have high charisma, so I've got a +3 to that, and also a +3 to wisdom. As a bard, charisma makes sense. I have +2 to intelligence. I feel like the wisdom, is like my inner knowing. That is how I'm saying it. It's like the intuition. Shredder's very vibes based. So just, the wisdom of, I don't know, it might be very unwise, but the wisdom of being moon curious. The intelligence, a big part of what I'm doing is trying to learn more about other places and faiths. And yeah, I've got a little dex too. And as a bard, I get half proficiency in everything I don't already have proficiency in or expertise. And that's fucking crazy. So it's been good. Not to say that I don't botch all of the time, but I have some good stats. And even though we're not leveling up because of the way the defeating a colossus or other things that you can do on this side work, our characters are able to get more and more interesting and have some more abilities. So I won't always be a weak little baby. No, I'll still be weak, but there will be some more interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, you've played Dungeons and Dragons before, but I don't know how much experience you have playing a bard. I think there's been a couple of times this season where you've been a little, feeling like, how do I contribute? Because all my stuff is like, way less powerful than everybody else around you. But then your skill situation is absolutely out of control. Like you are like the skill master. But barring a couple of very funny botches, you've been extremely useful out of combat. As much as in combat, you're mostly fire off a psychic lance and then kind of go team. I'm on your side.
Yeah,
I love you.
Yeah. Definitely getting used to playing a bard, and also just the timing of things. To I really want to support my team, and also just I think Shredder's trying to have fun a lot of the time, and so that comes out in combat too. Just like the personality bits. Austin puts in the Roll20 the creepy deer from Adventure Time. So that's part Shredder. And then I was Googling Anthro Deer Night and got the stag from Beastars. So there's a way that Shredder sees himself, which is like cool and serious and sexy. But then there's the way that I think a lot of people see Shredder, which is the freak deer. So
yeah, I think it's some of the most interesting of the socioeconomic stuff this season has come through Shredder. Something we've mentioned a couple of times is like the system of nobility that we have going on here, and the way that reflects kind of a medieval sensibility and a relationship to the land and so forth. There's a whole diatribe I do go on one of the episodes about whether feudalism ever truly existed. It's very pedantic and annoying. I'm sorry. But it does, now that we've recorded ahead of time, a thing we can bring up here, that opportunity I'm seizing, is about money. And
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like we talked about like whether there's an economy, and something that I brought up is like where there are people with needs and then those people may or may not have the ability to meet their needs, and they have to work with other people. So that's everywhere, all the time. Where there are people, there is going to be an economy, even if there isn't money.
Exactly. So I think someone on some episode says, "Oh, we don't really use money here," and I had to, butt in and say, "Okay, money is definitely used."
You're always doing that. You're always butting in.
Yeah.
Just let us be.
Just let us say things. No, but I think all of us, by listening and hearing each other, we're all 20th, first century people. We're all kind of always lived in a world with like a worldwide economy and so forth. So it's kind of hard to transport your mind back to every person with the physical ability to melt metal, forging their own coins and so forth, and all of the, in the Bible, there's the money changers are a thing that Jesus starts.
Okay, someone
beating.
check off. There's a bingo card. Austin mentioned the Bible.
I'm sorry.
Check it off.
I'm just saying it's so ancient. Whenever, like you said, anytime two people get together, economics start happening. And so actually, I think the situation in New Leon is there are dozens of currencies from all over the world, and it's a whole huge pain in the ass. But the day to day, most people aren't handling coins because they're doing, mostly a Colossus based stuff, relying on their Helionite, their local Helionite.
Yeah, people are just trying to survive also.
Yeah, because just the metaphysics of the world is if you want to live in New Leon, you have to hunt and kill and eat Colossi. The only people who can do that are Helionites. So all sapient life revolves around the Helionites, who naturally build their own castles and have their own communities. And those people attract, peasants who do what they can. They can't really grow food.
Walking up to the club like I attract peasants.
But you grow stuff to feed the ants who do all kinds of work. We introduced like peasants who are making like, barrels and so forth. There's like stuff going on, but it just pales in comparison to the Helionite stuff. But like literally the setting, the kind of thing that makes it interesting and unique is just that you have to have a Helionites to survive. And then that means that Helionites are centralizing and can be vectors for all kinds of interesting and maybe terrible stuff. This is a thing people say about like Shakespeare all the time. It's like, how come every character in Shakespeare is like a king or a prince or whatever? And it's like, well, they're the ones doing the interesting stuff. I'm sorry, you wouldn't read a play about someone who was like a rock polisher all day. They're not really getting into the hijinks.
I would love to have the rock polisher play. Someone please make that. I would say one thing is still, as a 21st century person, I think in terms of, communism and capitalism. And those are just things that don't necessarily come up in something that's different with this season versus like season 4, Valentine is rather than this whole structure already existing, we have this void of structure. And so we kind of have the opportunity to choose to do something about that or not do something about that. There's obviously this hierarchy and it's the Helionites and everybody else, but who makes decisions? How do we make decisions? Who are there people who want to rise up and enforce structure or whatever? But speaking of Valentine, Caroline just wrapped up her Valentine campaign. Keep Valentine weird. Thank you, Caroline. Also, thank you to Concept, developer of Devious Dungeons for Delighted Delvers. God, I love Concept so much.
Lumentus, Ed, Emil Argyard Bofjörg, Aradna the Human, and Tara is now doing her magical girl transformations. I didn't want to make Joa do all of them. She does it so well, but I'm helping.
Okay, but I wanted Tara's now doing her magical transformation, but that's fine.
Okay.
I took her back. Francois V, a deleted scene in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Wait, what does that mean? I just watched that again. When I first saw that movie, I watched it 3 days in a row, which is crazy. And I was like bawling the entire time. Austin would come in and bring me water. And yeah, I just watched that with my sister recently. I want to know, what's your deleted scene about? Matt Lackitz doesn't have the mental energy to update their Patreon name anymore, but still listens to every episode avidly. Oh, thank you, Matt.
But the thing I was saying about castles and so forth, let me rewind a little bit here.
You said naturally that Helionites are building castles. I don't feel like that's natural, but I get what you mean. It's just like that is the order of things. Like that is what they do. And that is something that comes up for Shredder's character is that kind of, you know, coming from a big family that didn't have a lot and was just normal, it feels uncomfortable. And also it's like avoiding this big responsibility because he's being distracted by all of his other things. But uh, something Dan said is like, people are going to be pissed off at you and be like, you're not fucking doing your job if you don't do something about this castle situation. Not in a mean way, but just like, that's the reality, is that is the order of things. And to not do your responsibility, to not have a castle, would be to question that order.
There's a player who's introduced later who was surprised when I said they had a castle. And so I made myself a little chart about what everyone's current castle situation.
Wait, I want to see the chart.
That's not a chart. It's just I wrote it out. So I wrote, Apollo will inherit his mother's castle. Lady Lynn has a castle, but it's relatively new. Because of she doesn't come from a Helionite family. Runt, no. Runt does not have a castle currently.
Runt, no.
Baltoris, yes. And that's, I think, something that me and Brandon talk about, if not in that character episode very soon, is that Baltoris, when he was made a Helionite, immediately embraced all the perks and was like speed running, getting the finest of everything, which is something that...
Okay, to be fair, he is a hare. So speed running is kind of his thing.
But yeah, I think there absolutely there's a huge potential for Helionites to misuse their power, which is kind of what happened with real feudalism, is where these people with all this money and power went basically...
Well, we definitely have someone who is like that.
Went crazy with their power, because in reality, in our world, there is no such thing as like God-chosen lords. That's like, they were making that up. They were lying to trick people. It's all bullshit. Sorry if you believe in the great chain of being. It's just nothing. But in this fantasy world, it does exist. Like, there is a reason that people have power and they can hit you. They can wear the fingerless gloves of power to show you. And so that, I think that's the reason you do a fantasy setting, as opposed to just setting your story in the real world, is to like investigate, like, what would X be like if Y? And so,
oh my God, I just realized that Schroeder is a never dude.
He never takes them off.
He's always wearing the gloves. Yeah, I was like, what would he do? No, he's got to wear them.
But besides Runt, Runt is going on quite a journey over the season. You're the only other Helionite without a castle. You are entitled to one. You could have one. It's in fact notable that in this universe there is magic, so building things is actually much easier and faster than it is in our world, right? You still have to get the materials and like get the mages together or whatever, but I think you have made a character choice that Schroeder is like dragging his feet on doing that and like assuming responsibility. You still feel like a normal person. You're like, well, I'm not like some lord in his castle giving orders. That's not me. Yeah. But like it is you.
Yeah.
Sort of like that's a
yeah, it is. And I think it's that unwillingness, or that I think it's related to that unwillingness to fully step over into change, publicly. And so he's got the comfort of his shop. He's got the comfort of New Leon to take a stand and be like, this is me. This is what I'm doing. It's just like the avoidance piece. You have said that if Schroeder is just me, if I were a dude, if I were he, they.
Mostly because of some penis antics that will be revealed eventually, but go on.
Whoa! You can't be talking about my penis antics.
I'm just saying.
That's the content people need to pay $1 for. Also, sidebar, I think you're, the people crave the drink cut. I feel like people crave the notes because you historically have never taken notes on anything. And I think maybe the last season, there was a lot of stuff, season 12, so because you had to keep track of items, and this season's like a lot of moving parts and also items and things like that. So yeah, I feel like people want to see your notes, but you won't let them. I haven't even seen your notes. I'm your wife. I haven't seen his notes.
You have. They're just not interesting. They're just a scribble of, it just says like,
it's interesting. No, the inner workings of your brain, so wild. Yeah. Anyway, just like, how things like Dice Funk come to be, and how you DM. I don't know. I know they're just like random notes, but I should just, sneak over at night when you're sleeping.
You could just ask, or you could just look at it. I'm looking at this notebook now. I have written for like recent episode notes: porcupine needles, wheat and pumpkins, Garurumon rocks sick genes is what I have written here. Is that interesting to you? Are you glad you you knew that's what's written in my notes?
Oh, I was wondering if you were reading names again, but okay. Is a good Brent Mr. Blue Sky for Let's Talk About Snacks podcast in there? What about Kaneko fan? What about Conduit of Snacks? Or Werewolf? We doing in our own, Mr. President? Oh yeah, what are we doing? Tanking the world economy?
I like that my notes are indistinguishable from the backer names.
Yeah. Also Bones and Marine Science Guy.
So the thing about the season is I'm really trying to get everyone to get into the mindset of the setting rather than play it as a coastal elite liberal in modern America, because I feel like it's very hard to get into the mindset of being like, yeah, I have a responsibility to my peasants and I need to do X, Y, and Z, because I think the idea of like having peasants is just morally disgusting for everyone on the call. But I'm trying to push you all to embrace it, and I think
unless they're attracted to you in a role playing,
I think this
hit me up if you want to be my peasant. No, I'm just kidding. That's a weird thing to say.
I think throughout history, there's been this a repeated pattern. There was something in the Soviet Union called the going to the peasants or something, where a bunch of intellectual socialists went out to the rural areas and were like explaining Marxism to them, and they're like, "Hey, the Tsar is like stealing all your grain and getting all your sons killed in pointless wars. Join us, and then you can be in charge." And the peasants were like, "Fuck you! I love the Tsar. I will suck the Tsar's toes. I don't care how many of my sons he kills." It's crazy. Peasants love the authority, and I think it's hard for us to get to realize that could be a thing. That there are people out there who are like, "Please, Sir Schroeder, oppress me. Please take my everything I have. Please take my daughter." And you're just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
So that's the thing I wanted to do.
I have on my character sheet open to being disrespected as a treat. So I think there's like a switch side to Schroeder. Also on my character sheet, I put under gender he, they. Apparently this is not how you're supposed to fill this out. Age, millennial. Size, medium. Height, cute. I'm going to say at some point I said, because folks were asking the exact height. I'm like, what are we doing over here? How is like height the currency? So I am of questionable height, but I think like a solid 5'10". I think I said 5'7", but I realized that is also still short, especially compared to everyone else. I'm 5'4" in real life, so definitely cute height.
I do love how I misremembered the name of the thing, which was the going to the people, not the going to the peasants. And you were like, yeah, Schroeder's bisexual, as if that was like the natural next response to the thing I said.
I'm barely listening.
That's the experience of this podcast. Or I'm like, well, if you consider it from a Caesarean semiotic perspective, and someone's like, it's in my butt, help.
Okay. Yeah, I think that goes along with me being chaotic neutral as my alignment, bringing it back to me.
As we always must. Yeah, no, you have your character sheet has a bunch of really funny jokes on it. I just think a lot of them I read throughout the season, so I don't want to ruin them right now. Did we say everyone up to Wishbone is gay?
No, there's also Gravity and Aaron Norgard. Also a gambling pig. Started playing Magic again because of Austin and Quinn, and that's really cool.
That feels more like an accusation.
Are you playing? Yeah, that actually does. Are you playing online or are you playing on paper? I want to know. How do you feel about the new sets? What are some of the newest ones?
The Hobbit, Star Trek, and Marvel are the recent ones.
Yeah.
Sorry about the whole thing. It's bad. Wishbone is gay is the next one. That's the one I jumped to because I was excited to say
My friend.
Yeah. Rain in the Patreon Demon, the lone member of the Cult of Nifix, Dust in Dark Water, Pumpkin Spice itself, Michael Wayne Spirit of Hada Lior, Lorelei, Seth giving you a hug while Jane Doe plays in the background.
Isn't it Michael Wayne?
It probably is. I get it wrong every time. At this point, I feel like they'd be disappointed if I said it right. They'd be like, something's wrong with Austin. This is a message to me. This is a coded parasocial message.
What about Steffi K, Justin Peroni, Kyle Hill, Philip Mitchell. We're into the normal name zone. Oh, never mind. Egon. And man, my other patronies are going to be really confused.
For the record, Egon is a normal name to me, but I guess I'm just different. We all love Schroeder here. Just a couple other things in the sheet to point out. You have proficiency with calligrapher's supplies, cartographer's tools, and vehicles. Are any of those things you put particular thought into, or are you just grabbing things at random?
Excuse me, everything is symbolic. Everything has meaning. That is why it takes me so long to do anything, including putting together a character sheet. So yeah, obviously calligrapher supplies is related to my zine making and printing. The cartographer's tools, I got that for I think I got it from my origin. So the vehicle proficiency is obviously my Emmett, my aunt. I like my aunt. My aunt's name is Muffin. I did not know that when I created this character, but I was trying to push for everyone to have baked good themed aunt names.
Yeah, there's a couple of like sub themes as we get more characters. There'll be people who are, there's like a wide variety of Emmett opinions. Some people are huge Emmett fans, some people less so, and the names kind of reflect that. So you're pretty.
It's implicit bias of the player character, I will say,
yeah.
to be against the aunt.
You're pretty. You're having a lot of fun with your aunt. I think you're doing some stunts with him as we go on.
Yeah, no, most recently, definitely. It got pretty wild. Yeah, so I already mentioned the Jack of all trades gives me the half proficiency to anything I don't have proficiency in. My elf species trait, I've got Safei ancestry. So yeah, wood elf, just for since I can't do ardling.
Yeah, elf is by far the most popular thing to be in D&D. I think it's like...
It gives you a lot of shit.
It's very good.
And also it's cool.
Yeah. But the ardling was taken out of the game, so it's we went with elf instead to represent it, basically.
I used to literally sign my little notes that I sent in class to my best friend as Joa Greenleaf.
You didn't have to admit that.
I've been an elf for a long time in my mind. But yeah, the Fey ancestry gives me advantage on saving throws, so I can avoid or end the charmed condition. And I'm immune to magical sleep. I think I actually might not sleep, which is weird.
I mean, elves don't. They enter a trance. But as an ardling, I think you do. It's just that if someone used a sleeping spell on you...
Yeah, I like to think maybe I don't... Yeah, I like to take little naps.
You would just tank it.
So,
last couple supporters of the show, regrettably Lich, Eric Ogren, remembered the Patreon tier update. For goodness sake, someone get Turbo some therapy and experienced cult deprogrammer. That one's for you. You want to take that one?
Oh, hell yeah. No, I love that. I appreciate that. Turbo definitely needs therapy. So, but I think she's like full on cult. I don't know that there's any deprogrammer. She's in deep. She is cult. Is regrettably Lich one of the liches from that's part of your liches for Desiree's
part
Lich
of the
King.
Koffel.
How many times can I say Lich? Yeah.
Also got Julius funneling money to Florida, Colm O'Donnell, Sire of Damnation, Ghost Almost, Ginger, Father of Desalin, Yummy Cheeks, Error, and Anne. Thanks for being there.
Stop. You can't just speed past Yummy Cheeks. Come on now. That's pretty good. All one word, Yummy Cheeks.
I break for Yummy Cheeks. Being there when I woke up from a coma or comma. I'm not sure if this is like a... if this is a serious thing. If so, I'm so glad you're out of your coma. If you're doing a joke I missed about commas, I'm sorry, I'm stupid as fuck. And Polpetta giving money to their fave creators. And finally, Grab Knots.
Thank you.
The grabber of knots. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You're the reason it exists. And that Joa got birthday presents. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, Joa.
Thank you.
I just read a list of people who bought your stuff. Isn't that nice? It's them. They did it.
That's not what happened. No. Okay. Well, also thank you. But yeah, I have an e-reader now, so I learned how to read. And now
it's been such a trial. It's been so long.
It really... Listen, capitalism has done a number on my entire fucking personality, and depression will fucking take away all of your hobbies and dreams, and then you crawl your way back to them, and I'm back. So yeah. I'm really happy to have that.
And so Jack Schroeder will be here on this weekend's episode, along with Baltoris, DM'd by Dan, on a fun, spooky episode. And then you're going to be rotating in and out of the cast as we go forward. Now you have a great mental picture of this bard.
Oh, see if you can guess who is the character from... See if you can guess one of the characters that were made in collaboration with Austin, who sponsored the Patreon. I had no fucking idea. Like, none of us did.
To be clear, Dan was the reason Dan DMs that episode, in addition to the fact that because it involves crossing the border into his domain, he's also the one who collaborated with the Patreon backer.
Oh, okay. I really love this character.
So yeah, it's very exciting. But now you get a clear mental picture of this anthropomorphic deer knight and his fingerless gloves to start the episode, because when episode 5 starts, you're going to be thrown right into it.
Yeah, think sassy stag man. Yeah, with a lot of brain problems.
But not as many brain problems as his enemies, because he has psychic lance and they don't.
Psychic lance! Yeah, get fucked.